evening and welcome to tonight's On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers. Tonight's show is 2 hours long and once again we are live, so if you have any comments, questions or suggestions during the show, text them to us. Just text EDGE, a space, and then your name, location and your message to 87778 and we'll try to pick up on any that really hit the mark. They're all charged at standard rates, so why not get texting now? In tonight's show, I'll be talking with John James Harris, a man who has formally declared himself to be a freeman of England within common law, which has apparently opened up very many intriguing possibilities for him and for everyone watching. What a show we've got tonight. John, welcome.
Hi.
So, 2 hours we've got to explore this subject, so I think we can take a little bit of a breath and just find out a little bit about you to start with.
Yeah, I'm basically a carpenter, a builder. I'm self-employed. I really enjoy it as well. Really enjoy the building trade. Watched it get smashed to pieces, as most things have happened in this country. I'm not all good as well, a lot of the things that have gone on concerning the building trade. And one of the sad things about the building trade as well is it's the first thing that gets hit when things start to get a bit upset, if you like.
It certainly is being hit right now, isn't it?
Smashed to pieces, yeah. And it's, as growing up, I don't know, I just never fitted into anything. I never fitted any slot, if you like.
So would you say that you always questioned everything?
Yeah, questioned. I just questioned. I thought it was me. I thought there was something wrong with me. And they thought there was something wrong with me as well.
Who's they? Teachers?
Yeah, everybody. They just... Everybody, you know, there's something wrong with you, pull yourself together, you know, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing... And it was like, already without even knowing what a conspiracy was, it was like I was living in one. I didn't even know what conspiracies were.
What, living in the Matrix?
No. Yeah. A lot of people reference to what we talk about to the Matrix. It's one of the ways of dismissing what we say, and a very clever way of doing it as well.
OK. Well, that wasn't my intention.
But it's a it's quite a clever way of doing it. No, yes, definitely a world of illusion, without doubt. A world that is very much one thing that we believe it to be, but actually operates in a completely different way.
Well, let's just go back into you as a person just on this journey for a moment, if we can. What I'd like to explore with you is, you know, OK, you felt different. Yeah. You asked questions.
Yeah.
How and why did you start discovering things? And what did you start discovering? What were the things that you first of all became aware of that kind of set you on the path to becoming a free man?
I suppose one of the first things that ever struck me was the fact that I just could not be successful in business no matter what I tried. It was like I was just not meant to do it. And I just couldn't do it. And it was strange. And I could never work out why. There was never a reason. And I went to do a job. I was working for a company, and I went to cut a roof, pitch a roof down local to us. And there was a lad there who went to university. And he gave me a film to watch. He said, just have a watch of this film and just see what how you feel about it. So it was Loose Change 2, obviously about 9/11.
Right, of course, yes.
Up to that point, up to watching that film, I was completely oblivious, and I still was after watching it the first time.
What, it just went over you?
Yeah, OK, yeah, there's something going on here. What, yeah, trying to like... So I watched it again, and there was one bit that stuck in my mind, was a camera. And the camera was hundreds of feet off the floor. It was in a building adjacent to the towers as they were burning. When the towers came down, the camera shook before the towers came down. So it just said, I just said to myself, well, there must have been an explosion. And that's all it did amount to, that something must have exploded before the towers. And then being in the building trade, thought to himself, well, what could explode? In that building, what could explode? Couldn't really find, in my own reasoning, that anything that could explode to that magnitude that would destroy a building of, that size.
110 stories?
Yeah, big building.
Or two of them.
I got caught up in that for a little bit. I got kind of gatekeepered. Do you know the term gatekeepering?
Explain what you mean by that.
Gatekeepers are like, if you get something like 9/11 where there's a lot of controversy concerning the official version of what happened, and then people start to come forward and give their versions of what happened. 7/7 exactly the same.
Well, we've done programmes on both those subjects.
Yeah. So what the official version is not what the people who really experienced what was going on and experts in the field, blah, blah, blah. OK. So you've got a lot going on inside people trying to cover things up. So the easiest way to do it, because there's obviously some form of cover-up going on, who it's by, I ain't got a clue. I don't want to anticipate. I don't want to say anybody's behind it. I don't believe it's terrorists for a start. I don't believe in that Al-Qaeda or whatever. But what I do know is something went on. And so they start a thing called a conspiracy theory, which is great, because the second you talk about it, someone will label you nutter. And it happens every time. No matter what you talk about, the Freemasons, 7/7, anything you want to talk about, if you're talking about something that's locked into the word conspiracy, then people will label you as being a nutter and what you're saying has no value whatsoever. So they create the conspiracy, and then they get people to get trapped in the conspiracy. And what happens is you just go round and round in circles.
And this is the gatekeeper thing.
Yeah, the gatekeeper is, because it doesn't matter if someone comes in and, like, anyone could come in and say to you, right, I've seen this, come and have a look at it. Oh, no, I'm just going to keep going round and round in circles because we're finding information out. Well, what you're finding out is what happens. This hit that hit that, blah, blah, blah. OK? The only two important questions to ever ask is who and why.
And perhaps who benefits.
Exactly, but who and why? Because there must be a reason who's benefit from why, you know, an atrocity like that would happen. The same as 7/7. So when you realise what happened in law after that, and that we got terrorist laws, quite draconian terrorist laws in both countries after both events. Mm-hmm. But when you look at them laws in a different way, you see that they developed a law to protect you from something that they say exists, when the real actual fact of the matter is they developed a law to protect themselves from you when you find out what really did happen. And what's happening worldwide is people are finding out what really did happen, and they're not using their thoughts to do it anymore. They're using realisation, feelings. So they're saying, I feel something happened.
Oh, this is very interesting. Is this like the fact that, you know, people resonate with the truth? That they have a visceral...
The truth does resonate
visceral resonance with the truth, far more than being intellectually told something.
Yeah, but if you're going to cover something up, then you create lies. And you lock them lies in knowledge. And then what you teach people to do is to use knowledge to control knowledge. Now, the world is abound with knowledge, but there's no wisdom. And if you use wisdom to control knowledge, your wisdom will separate the knowledge from the lies. It will separate the truth from the lies and allow you to keep it. But you've got to have the recognition of that yourself. It's no good me saying to you, this is the truth. You've got to realise it's the truth in yourself.
So, of course, everyone's got to find their own truth.
Absolutely, and we all walk different paths.
That is not a given, is it, that everyone's truth is the same truth?
No, of course it's not.
Which is a difficulty, isn't it? If, for instance, you are, shall we say, a conspiracy theorist.
Well, no, not everyone's truth is the same truth.
And I don't think that is a dirty word, but no, if, say you were a conspiracy... I mean, the thing about 9/11, for instance, and 7/7 and so on, is that there are several theories which are not the official theory of what happened on that day or those days. So which of those alternate theories should one believe?
That's the point. It's locked away. You're using lies and knowledge. Because all you're concerned about is the theories, which the theories are what happens. Forget what happens. It's why it happens and who did it and for what reason. That's all you need to worry about. And the realisation within you will tell you that it was done for a specific reason. What happened occurred afterwards. Classic. It's all theatre. It's illusion. It's the classic way that any illusion was performed on a stage when theatre first hit the world.
Magic tricks.
Well, it's not magic tricks.
Well,
it's like
you mentioned when we spoke on the phone. You mentioned the Prestige, didn't you?
Yeah, but you've got the Pledge of the Turn and the Prestige. So the pledges, they pledge you something. This tower exploded and terrorists did it. Yeah, OK, I'm buying that. Right. The turn is we need this new law because it's going to protect us from them ever doing it again. OK, that's absolutely fine. I accept that as well. But the Prestige is when you look at the law, it's a complete and utter draconian lockdown on every freedom you were given when you were born. That's why when you talked about the Charter of Liberties, you talk about a document, a Charter of Liberties. It's a grant. They're granting you something. They're giving you something. It's giving you something you already possess that no man on this earth has a right to take away. Freedom's not about liberties. Liberties is a grant. Rights are a grant. That's why people get so confused, because the Charter of Liberties, the most famous document in the world, Magna Carta 1215, set up the world we live in now. They set it up. But people can't see it because they're locked into lies and the way... You say about the truth resonates because it will resonate in different sections when you land on the truth. So when it's like, you land... Imagine a game of Monopoly, because that's basically what we live in, a game of Monopoly.
OK.
Monopolisation. That's all it's about. It's monopolisation. Greed, materialism, egotism, the new churches, shopping centres, the new religion, money.
OK, so just to get back then to your journey, if we may, because I think that's a nice way of describing where we are now when we finally get to that point. So you saw Loose Change 2.
Yeah.
And you watched it twice, and something dawned on you that it wasn't what you thought it was, and then you felt that you were being held by some gatekeeper from learning more.
Didn't at the time. Didn't even know what a gatekeeper was. Didn't understand anything. I was still completely oblivious to everything.
So what was your next stage then?
I wanted to find out, and I didn't want to use the lies and knowledge of the internet. There's a lot of lies and knowledge. There's a lot of truth out there, but you've got to wade through so much rubbish to get to it. So I wanted to design something, in a way, I suppose. I wanted to build something that would allow people to come to me and give me information. Because I don't like reading things. I read law, that's about all I read. I read law because I find it funny.
You find it funny?
It's very funny. Yeah, when you read it the way I read it, it's hilarious. You just got to read it right. But I read law, and I've read law books as well. I read their law books, because their law books are even funnier.
Who's they? You mean the States?
The Law Society. Oh, the Law Society's law books.
Yeah, OK.
Yeah, if you read their books, I mean, OK, there's a classic example in the latest Black's Law Dictionary 8, and they define a person, and they say a natural person. How can you define a word with a word? How can you define that word with the same word? You can't. It's a mockery. If you go in Black's Law Dictionary 3, you'll see that person is a fiction.
Let's talk about that then. Let's talk about the person.
Yeah.
And how we understand the person in society.
Well, what do you think a person is?
Well, it doesn't matter what I think.
No, what do you think a person is? I'm asking you
Well, I'm a person. You're a person.
Are you?
Well, I believe I am.
You're not a human being, you're a person.
Well...
Or does it mean the same thing?
Well, my understanding from when I was a child is that a person and a human being are the same thing.
Same thing, OK, right. So, in law, you're a human being, but in the legal world, commerce, you're a person. That's the difference.
OK.
What
is the difference, then? Just calling me a different name?
It's the way you're treated, massively. It's about jurisdiction, solely about jurisdiction. In common law is upon the human being. In fleet, commerce, admiralty, whatever you want to call it, UCC code, whatever, then your person is a fiction. But the jurisdiction, what they need to do is to get you to act, for you to represent that fiction. You've got a limited company, but it doesn't exist in the real world. It's not real.
Well, let's talk about the distinction then. If there is a distinction between human being and person, what does this actually mean?
A lot.
OK,
basically, you get locked into slavery.
So you're saying that because laws are made for persons...
Statutes, yeah.
Statutes, not laws, statutes.
Yeah, but what's a statute?
Well, OK, you tell me.
Well, take a statute. A statute is an act of Parliament, yeah? So they put an act of Parliament, becomes statute, gets registered on the statute roll, OK?
Yes. And it's what most people would describe as a law, isn't it?
They would, but they don't know what law is. That's the point.
And you do?
No, I just see it from a different angle.
OK.
And I'm going to give you the angle I see it from.
OK.
OK? That's...
Please do. That's right, we're here.
Right? But it starts as a bill. Well, a bill is a money-making order. It's a negotiable instrument. When you look at any statute law that's on the statute books, it's enacted by statutory instruments, another negotiable instrument. A statutory instrument defined is a created, written, legal contract. So it's not law, it's a contract. It's something they can apply as fictitious upon fictitious persons.
So they make us into
fictitious persons, and then they can apply these statutes on it, because the statutory law does not apply to human beings, because it's not law until it's consented to by the governed. Statute is law, but only becomes the force of law if it's consented to by the governed. So with 3,000...
By the governed?
By the governed, you. Yeah, you're the governed.
So I can say that to anyone who wants to enforce a statute upon me...
Yeah.
If I choose, I can say, I don't consent.
You can say that, but you're being made an offer. So it has to come in contract form. So you're being made an offer. So what they'll do is they'll offer you something, and in a contract there has to be offer, consideration and acceptance. So you have to be made the offer, you have to consider the offer, and you have to accept the offer.
I'm not aware of having been made any offers about any statutes.
No, but you are being made an offer,
okay,
because commercial law works that way.
And you're saying it's all commercial law, that every statute is subject to commercial law?
Statute law was wrote specifically for the powers that be to manipulate, to protect themselves, to do exactly what they wanted to create, and to control us as if we were in slavery. It's the evolution of slavery, that's all it is. It's very, very simply done as well. But you have to look at the law, and you look at the great laws that have gone through in this country, the Declaration of Rights, 1688-89, Bill of Rights, Act of Settlement, the Act of Union, all these documents that are these very, very powerful, famous statutes that are still, one of them is still in the law books. Oxford's law book just recently, they brought one out, and it's still in there, and it still names the Act of 1701, the Act of Settlement, because it is so important to what they do and what they've actually achieved with that. And they needed these statutes in place. The statute law is very, very... It's right in the form of a constitution. And if you look at what constitutions are, they're the fundamental principles the government adopts to make for society to conform to. Society being the biggest word there, being the socially dominant members of any community. Also translated as a partnership, where all parties have to consent.
So, if I get this right then, what you're saying is that apart from laws, which are different, statutes are all passed with some sort of presumed consent from us.
No, absolutely not. No.
OK, excuse me.
A statute law is a negotiable instrument. It's a bill. It's a money-making order. Right? The government, as being the Cabinet, the Privy Council, will take the statute and they'll meet at number 10 with the bankers and they'll sell it to them.
So they pass a law,
yeah.
statute?
No, they make a contract. It's not law. It's a contract.
Okay.
They get this contract and they'll go to the bankers and they'll say to the bankers, the private sector, they'll say, we've got this statute and we reckon it's worth $6 billion.
Well, for instance, it might be something like we're going to put up speed cameras everywhere.
Ideal example, OK? We've got this statute, we reckon it could generate a revenue of about $6 billion. That's fine, OK?
Per annum.
Per annum. Okay. Will you lend us that on the strength of that, but we'll give you everything in excess to cover the principal sum plus the interest. So what they do is they sell it. They sell it to the bankers for the money. In
advance of passing the law?
Not passing the law.
Statute.
It's not a law, it's a statute. So what happens is, they sell this to the bankers. They've then got the police as two different things. The police are... The human being is a policeman or woman who is there to uphold the law, serve and protect, never deny or delay right or justice to any individual who lives in this country, no matter where they're from. Then you've got the police officer. Now, the police officer is a fiction. A police officer is a corporate employee who's enforcing statutes to make sure the bankers get their money back. Now, they need then is corporate courts. And then you go into a corporate court. And
but they're not called corporate courts, are they?
No. But if you want to do the research, which I'll tell you about later, and you can go and do it, the people at home who've got the internet can go and do this right now, if they want to, all right? The corporate court is then there to get jurisdiction over you to make you pay. Because they need you to pay, because without your money, and we'll talk about money as well, because that's quite
Okay.
funny. But without your money, they can't pay back the bankers.
But if you're saying that these statutes require your consent...
They've got to get consent from you.
So, have they not already got consent?
How can they possibly
So how do they go through the process of getting consent without you being aware of it?
Fixed penalty fine, classic, fixed penalty fine, right?
OK.
A fixed penalty notice. A notice is an offer. They're offering you something.
You're going back to the definition now of the word notice.
But this is legalese. This is a different language.
Let's do
this
this.
is a
Okay,
language of the law society.
OK, let's go back to this. Let's look at the word notice. What does notice mean?
It means it's an offer. Basically, they're offering you something. And what they'll do is they'll offer you something. They're offering you the ability to pay them some money. So it's a contract. They're making you an offer. You've got to consider it, and there's a consideration built in, and the consideration is that if you pay within 7 days, then it's half the price that we're saying it is. But if you don't pay within a certain 24 days, whatever, 14 days, it's the price that we're saying it is.
Right.
Right. Very cleverly done. You've been offered something, the chance to pay them some money because you're in statutory violation, OK?
You're in violation of the statute because you've sped, presumably, or whatever you've done.
OK.
You've parked on a yellow line.
They lock into the contract the consideration. You know, there's a consideration. If you pay now, you don't have to worry about it. But also what they're locking is an estoppel by acquiescence. And the estoppel...
Well, let's do this slowly. An estoppel by acquiescence.
Yeah, basically, if you ignore it, then you agree to the terms.
OK.
If
you ignore it, you agree?
If you ignore it, what estoppel means is basically if you do not answer or offer back, because you can't dishonour it, you've got to offer back. This is contract law. You can't go into dishonour.
So, OK, so if, for instance, say you get a ticket for speeding and it has this offer and you don't want to be subject to it, what do you do next then?
You offer something back.
What, like a button?
If you want it. Wouldn't work.
OK, well, talk us through it then.
Well, if you first thing you do is say, well, you're trying to talk, the wording on the document, what will happen is that the original fixed penalty notice is you'll send a letter off. So what you do is you write the letter very specifically. You don't use misters, you don't use postcode. If you do put your postcode, put it in a box capital. Anything in 4 corners doesn't exist in commercial law.
So you put square brackets round?
Yeah, anything in 4 corners does not exist. OK? So what you do is...
This is written somewhere in law, isn't it?
Go and look it up. Go and look up the 4 corner rule.
I'm asking a question.
Yeah, go and look up the 4 corner rule. Go and look it up now.
OK, the 4
Get
corner
the internet, look it up, find out what a 4 corner rule
So you
is.
can put your name in that if you want?
Absolutely. It means it doesn't exist.
OK.
Right? That means it's a legal entry. So what you're doing is you're reversing that. What you're saying is, I don't exist. You're talking to a human being, you're not talking to a person. You're talking to a human being.
OK.
Did this human being produce you any form of evidence to prove who they are?
You're asking the question of them?
Yeah, you ask them questions. What you do is you have to put it in question form because that's how you offer back. So you ask them a series of questions.
Right, OK.
And you adapt the questions to what your needs are. A classic example was, we go to a restaurant and we eat a meal, and the restaurant, the waiter comes up and he says, here's a notice of how much your meal was tonight. Would you pay it or ask for a bill?
I'd probably ask for a bill, wouldn't I? Yes.
You'll be given a notice, you'll be given an offer. A summons, if you look at a summons is legally synonymous with the word invitation. When you get notice of summons to go to court, you're being given an offer to go to their place of business. You're being invited. You've got a choice.
So, I think we're going to have to go to a break now, John. We're going to get back to this. So we're going for the break. If you'd like to text in your questions or comments for John Harris, why not do so now? Text the word EDGE, your message to 87778. Please keep it short because the long ones get cut off. See you very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest tonight, John Harris. John, we were just talking about when you get a notice in the post for some offence that you've committed, which is subject to a statute, and you're saying that the notice they send you is an offer.
It is, yeah.
And as such, you can make a counter-offer.
Absolutely.
or ask questions.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay, let's put it in your... Put the ball in your court. What would you do? Say you were driving down the road and a camera went flash and you got in the post, you got a notice, an offer to pay them X amount of money, or if you pay within 7 days, half of that money. What would you do? I
would personally just write to whoever's issued the ticket, and I would just explain to them in very simple terms that they're talking to a person, and the person doesn't exist. They need to talk to the human being. The human being was driving the car, not the person. The jurisdiction they're trying to apply upon me is a Fleet Admiralty jurisdiction. Well, I don't exist now.
Fleet Admiralty. So this is Admiralty law.
It's Admiralty law. If you want, funny enough, we went through it yesterday, and it's really quite funny. Look at the word bank. You know, bank directs the currency. It's, you know, it deposits on the bank, it withdraws from the bank. It's all to do with water. Think of a woman, the child comes from the waters down the birth canal and gets birthed, and then a certificate of registration it's all the words.
Based on ships?
Yeah, it's all Admiralty stuff, yeah, it's all you got to do. But they call it Fleet because the fleet basically left this country and went over to about 52 other countries and developed and employed exactly the same system. And the original prison that the Botany Bay inhabitants come from was a prison in London called Fleet, on Fleet River.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
So that was basically where it come from.
OK, so you would write back as a human being?
Absolutely, yeah.
Not as a person?
No, because I'm not a person.
Well, we'll get to that bit. We'll get to how you became a free man in a bit. But you would write back and you would say... What would you say? What would you make an offer? But you'd ask them some questions. Are you aware that you're dealing with a human being, not a
Yeah, I'd ask them
person?
also as well. I would just give them enough information to work on. They'd probably send back to me and say, you know, we don't understand what you're saying, blah, 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 which is what they do. So you just keep asking them questions. You just literally, that's all you keep doing. And you just keep asking them questions. You know, basically, prove who I am. Prove it. Show me evidence that you can prove who I am. But you can't prove it.
Is that along the sort of lines of how do you know I was driving the car?
No, because you're dead. I will openly admit I was driving the car.
So you'll say in the letter that you write as a human being that you were driving the car, you're not...
OK, I'll give you an example, right? In common law, which is based upon natural law, there is no offence for speeding cameras. There is no offence. I haven't committed a crime.
Well, it's not likely to have been in the Magna Carta, is it?
No. Common law extends right up to this day. It works on three very basic principles: injury, harm, or loss. There's that. It's crime. A crime is within common law. If you do a common law, if you do something wrong against common law, then you should have your collar felt. Absolutely. But you're not going to go to a court of justice. You're going to go to a corporate court.
So this is what? Sorry, injury.
Injury, harm or loss. So you can't... You should never injure someone, never harm someone or cause them loss.
Or their property, presumably.
No, but it covers every eventuality.
Just those three words?
Just those three
injury,
words.
harm and loss.
Right.
So you're driving too fast down the road, you're not causing any injury, unless you hit somebody, in which case that becomes...
Well, yeah, I'm liable. Yeah, I'll hold my hands up.
So you haven't caused any injury.
No.
What harm have you done?
Nothing.
No harm. And what loss have you caused?
There's no loss.
No loss.
Absolutely. So what you've got is
So what's the damage?
Exactly. But what we're talking about, the difference between a statutory violation and a crime. What they're trying to say to you is you've committed a crime, but you haven't committed a crime because a crime only exists in common law.
OK. And they do accept this, do they? The powers that be do it...
You have some fun with them. You have some fun with the police. One of our members has just recently had some real fun with... a couple of police officers. It was very... I would ask... See, if I was pulled up by the police, which I have been, and recently for a seatbelt, which I won't, I won't go to their court of law because they've got no jurisdiction over me.
You were not wearing a seatbelt?
Yeah. And now you're going to shoot the messenger. Everybody does.
No, what... you know, I'm simply asking the question.
The question is... I got shot to pieces, and it was quite funny, actually. Right. My view about a seatbelt is... It's my choice. Everything is about choice. I make the wrong choice, OK, and I go through a windscreen, and that's what was meant to happen. That's how I look at things. I don't look...
This is like karma or something? This is that sort of
It's not
Buddhist...
karma, it's called synchronistic recognition.
OK. Synchronicity is normally when coincidences occur, isn't it?
Absolutely, you learn from your
Jung,
mistakes.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Carl
you just
Gustav
learn.
Jung.
Yeah, but you just learn from your mistakes. It's not from anybody. It's just something because I don't read any of these books about. People say, "Have you read this book?" No, but you talk like this person does. Well, maybe I do, but I haven't read his book.
Okay, so you've made a choice not to wear a seatbelt.
I made a choice, yeah, not to wear a seatbelt.
Because you don't believe that not wearing a seatbelt creates any harm or injury or loss.
Only to me.
And you obviously aren't going to sue yourself.
No, but yeah, see, that's the point. Compensation nation. Now you're going along like.
Do we want to go there?
No, you don't want to go there.
We've only got 2 hours.
You don't want to go there, but it is a compensation.
Let me just. I'm going to start reading out some text here because otherwise we're never going to read any out, and people are going to get upset. And I'm saying to text in 87778. Keep them short, otherwise they get cut off, and I can't read them then. There's somebody here, I think it's John, saying, it's so good to know there are men like you in the world. Thank you, John. So I don't know whether they're John or they're saying thank you, John. But anyway, there you go. Oh, my God. There's one here that's been cut off again. It says, how do mothers who have had their children stolen for forced adoption and fathers denied their parental rights after divorce take their children back? I think we're going to have to get back to that one, don't you? Because that's a bit down the road.
There is. We do know of something that happened recently that I can't quantify. I can't validate it at all. We're going to try and get some validation.
Is this to do with a person?
Yeah, basically, a lady had her 4 children taken away, and about 2 or 3 days later, the social services brought one of the children back. And when the mother questioned the social services, she said, well, the reason we brought the child back is because we don't own it. You never registered it at birth.
Well, they actually said this. I did actually see that on your website, actually.
No, we're trying to quantify it. What I'm saying is, I get this information I work very closely with a gentleman called Brian Gerrish, and Brian gets some phenomenal...
I should say, he was supposed to be my guest last week, but unfortunately he suffered a bereavement in his family.
Yeah, his poor mum. I know, I was there.
And he couldn't come.
Yeah,
I was trying to get him back.
I've been working at Brian's house to work at his house. So,
what a small world.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're really good friends, and Brian gets the most colossal... He gets like, they served him... Oh, so funny. They served things on him before he's even wrote about the subjects. That's how funny it is. This is how panicky they are, because of this baby P issue and Linda Lewis is the issue about the child who's now at 22 and still not allowed to see her parents. You know, I mean, these sort of issues. So Brian gets all this information. We get a lot of information, and we suddenly start to realise that it's the birth certificate that is the main... It's the problem.
All right, we seem to have segued into that. Let's get on to the birth certificate thing, because that's on my list of things to ask you about.
Right, well, birth certificate basically is the creation of the fiction, the creation of an entity that doesn't
This is the
exist.
difference between a person and a human being. So
but
this happens when you register the child?
Yeah, but you're told you've got to register the child. You're told you must. Now, in legalese terms, in the Law Society terms, must is synonymous with the word may. So you've been given a choice. Because at the end of the day, it's a statute. If you don't register after 42 days, they reckon you get £1,000, or whatever they reckon, right? The truth of it is that you'll get about an £8 fine. A year later, the Attorney General will actually write you a letter to say, would you like to register your child? They can't make you do it, OK?
See, I didn't know that. I mean, I have 2 children,
you've done it,
and I registered them.
Yeah, I did it at all. Imagine how I feel now. So when you look at the birth certificate, right, and look at every part of the birth certificate and look at the wording that's used, and it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But the last bit is the most interesting. The father is classed as the informant, right? The
informant.
And his qualification is he is his father. So he knows that there's a child being born, so he can inform on that child.
Yes.
Right. So
but what if the mother registers the child? A lot of single parents register children, don't they?
Do you know what? I don't know. That'd be something we could look at. But we've looked at quite a couple of birth certificates to quantify this, right? To have a look at this. And I'm going to do more. Underneath, it says this is very fascinating. I like this piece. Okay. This is where you start talking about different jurisdictions. It says your name, which is not a signature, it's wrote, and it says the declaration of. Now, a declaration is in common law. The only person who can make a declaration, which is a declaration or affidavit within common law, is one of the most powerful documents within law, because it's a sworn oath of your truth.
OK.
Yeah?
So you swear that this is your child or whatever?
No. You just saying it's a declaration from a human being because he has to act on behalf of the fictitious father, which his name is in capitals, to inform the child is there, so they can make another fiction out of it. That's how it works. So basically what it is, but if you
So
want,
when we register our children...
You put them in slavery. You just don't know.
They become a bonded slave.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Exactly.
That's quite powerful stuff, isn't it?
No, but it's the truth. Go and look for it yourself. It's the evolution of slavery.
Look at my children's birth certificate.
Yeah, I know, but the evolution of slavery is something that's quite amazing when you look at the word slavery and you look at sort of civil relationships between people and a state, and people use the word citizens. Citizens, we're not a republic. We're not subjects either. Subjects is that means we're subjected to the rule of something.
Well, we are a constitutional monarchy, aren't we, officially?
Ah, do you know what a constitutional monarchy is?
Do you know, I have a feeling you'll tell me, John.
A constitutional sovereign, very interesting. Constitutional sovereign is locked in constitutional law with no powers whatsoever. They can guide, they can warn, and they have the right to be informed. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all they
head
can
of
do.
state.
Basically what they are is a mascot.
We're paying an awful lot for this mascot, aren't we?
Yeah, no, but it was needed. It's a requirement for them to succeed in what they've done. To get us to where we are now, it was a requirement, and they had to lock a certain dynasty into the requirement as well, using another part of this country as a bargaining chip.
What do you mean another part? Come on. Don't tease.
Mate, but there's so much to this. It goes all the way back. You know, I mean, Magna Carta, look at the wording of Magna Carta, and pull me one article.
I've got it, actually. It's funny you should say that.
I might have a copy of it.
Magna Carta, 1215.
Yeah.
I've got all the ones you've highlighted on your website. I should say your website is www.tpuc.org, which stands for, I've written it down somewhere, the People's United Collective.
Absolutely.
There you go. Anyway, and you can download copies of Magna Carta, Charter of Liberties of Henry I, 1100, Declaration of Rights, 1688 to 1689, Bill of Rights, 1689, etc., on this site. Anyway, Magna Carta.
What do you want to know?
Well, what do you want to tell us?
Well, pick one of the articles.
Well, I think the one you point to quite often is 61, isn't it?
Yeah, but 61's too complicated for this. You go a little bit. Go 38.
38, clause 38. OK, in future, no official shall place a man on trial upon his own unsupported statement without producing credible witnesses to the truth of it.
OK, so what does that say to you? What do you get from that?
Well, I suppose if you confess a crime...
Yeah.
That's not to be believed by a court without independent corroboration.
Brilliant. So you really got it. That's a really good fundamental thing, because if you've got someone, obviously, who is not right in the head, and they're going to, you know, for whatever reason... There is, yeah. There's people out there who really don't... I don't know why, but they're not right in the head. They don't make the right decisions. So you could get someone to admit to something that they haven't done just because they feel intimidated or pressured into it. So that was designed to do that. But it says a word there. It says man.
Isn't man in law also a woman?
No. What's the definition of man?
Well...
One of the definitions of man.
Well, legal definition of man.
Of or the same quality.
You've lost me.
Well, of all the same quality. So
As what?
Right. The people the document was wrote for.
The barons?
Absolutely. Let's pick another one. 38.
Well, I think we need to go into this one a bit more.
No, go. I'll explain what I mean. 39.
Pick a number. If you'd like to text in the number you'd like me to pick. Right, 39, OK. No free man shall be seized or imprisoned or stripped of his rights and possessions or outlawed or exiled or deprived of his standing in any other way, nor will we proceed with force against him or send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his equals or by the law of the land.
Gave the world trial by jury.
Sorry?
It gave the world trial by jury.
OK.
Trial by a common law jury.
But not all offences go before a jury, do they?
No, but they're meant to. That's
and
the point.
there is pressure now to end jury trials.
Well, of course there is.
Panel of judges.
The jury is the most powerful element in any court of law.
Well, they're probably the most unpredictable, aren't they?
But if you want to see a corporate court of law work with a jury, look at the de Menzies trial when you look at the tribunal, because what did the judge say to the jury?
You cannot pass a verdict of unlawful death.
Yeah, oh, it's fantastic.
I think that was it. I might have got the words wrong, but that was roughly it.
Can null the law if they believe it to be unjust. They use what's called discretion. So the difference between common law and civil law is, or commerce law, UCC code, whatever you want to call it, in common law there's discretion. So the jury could look at something, and a classic example, there was a girl, 18 years old, hung in the 16th century for shoplifting. Yeah? She went up in front of the beak, she was hung for shoplifting. She actually went up in front of a magistrate. But the jury could have looked at that, and they could have gone, well, she was desperate. Her husband had been press-ganged and was fighting abroad. She had no food to feed her children, no wood to burn on the fire, she was smashing furniture, and all she took was a piece of cloth to try and make something for her children to wear. That's what she took. But she didn't actually take it. She put it under her apron and then put it back because she realised someone had seen her. She was hung at 18 years old. A jury would have seen that and said, well, the discretion is, yeah, she did do something wrong. Yeah, it is a bit prolific shoplifting at this moment in time. But the girl should not die for that. And that's when they can start to go against. See, the maximum offence at that time for shoplifting was death by hanging at Tyburn. Mm. So you would go on the Tyburn Triangle. Do you know about Tyburn?
Well, that's where Marble Arch is now.
Yeah, but do you know... Yeah, that's funny. Do you know the Tyburn Triangle? Do you know why it was designed?
Why it was a triangle?
No, you could hang 24 people at once.
Did it have to be triangular?
I don't know why they made a triangle, but that's what they made. It's called the Tyburn Triangle. Yeah. Anyway, but what my point is the fact that in common law there's a discretion. If a policeman pulls up a lady for doing something wrong in her car, he believes she's committed an offence. In common law, and she was pregnant, right? In common law, he would say the discretion of the law, I can use the discretion, I'll escort you to the hospital so you can have your child. In what we live in, she'd be having a child while they're writing a bloody ticket out. Because that's the difference between a corporate enforcement revenue officer and a policeman.
I think that's being a bit harsh. I mean, policemen are human beings too. Well, it might have happened because there are bad people in every walk of life as well as there are good people.
I've got all the admiration for the police in the world. A lot of my friends are police.
Well, then not all of them would stand there while a woman's in labour and write a ticket out, would they?
No.
I don't
if
think
they
so.
act as a policeman. But as a corporate revenue employee, collecting revenue, there is no discretion. That's why common law is so important, because it offers discretion. That's why a jury is so important in a court of law. Because originally a jury was 13 people. In common law, it's 12 and 1, which is 13. They've made it 12. There's a real significance with the number 13. But the fact of the matter is that jury of 13 people, of your peers, people of the same kind of quality of you, and generally people who would know your character as well. So they could actually generally judge and say, look, yes, this man, this is out of character.
Well, you can't always tell people's characters by how they present themselves in court. The worst villains in the world present themselves in court as decent.
But their friends know they're the worst villains in the world.
Well, the friends aren't on the jury. Well, hopefully their friends aren't on the jury. But what I'm saying is if they're very good at putting the wool over people's eyes...
If you're going to judge anybody, then you have to know everything about that person to be able to say if it was out of character. This is why the peer system was developed. This is why it was there. And precedent is a complete load of crap as well, because how can two cases be exactly the same?
Precedent, you mean?
Precedent. What they call common law was built by precedent. Common law has 3 basic values that was taken. They were ornate values that came... No one actually knows where these values come from. A religion got hold of these and made them into 10 commandments. But the first bloody one says, thou shalt have no more gods. And you get on your knees, you're a servant. You're a slave. But they're telling you who that God is. So it could be anybody. King James Bible, in every court of law, lift it up, Jesus Christ, it's in capitals. He's a bloody fiction.
So what are you saying? That there was a human being, but he became a corporation. Is the Church of England a corporation?
Yeah. They're all Westminster Abbey's corporation in its own right.
Westminster Abbey,
House of Parliament, Members of Parliament, House of Lords, Privy Council. Social Services is actually PLC.
OK.
Which is interesting. Check them out, Dun & Bradstreet. Go on to Dun & Bradstreet, type in anything you want, your local ambulance station, anything, you will find that they're all corporations, registered corporations. And the classic one is the schools. My son's local school is a trading name of Hertfordshire County Council.
Trading style, is it?
If they're a business, There's someone invested in that business who wants paying back.
Shareholders. Well, I know these academies, these Tony Blair academies are...
Why are all the public services in this country registered businesses making money when they're meant to be public services paid by your tax? I won't say mine because I don't pay it. You. So why are you paying tax, income tax, and a good rate of income tax as well?
I've got to say, that's a question I ask myself quite often.
But you're paying such a good rate, and then all these public services that are meant to be funded off your tax money and your council tax money,
well,
why are they registered corporations?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I do receive those services to some extent. You know, I do. If the house was on fire, the fire brigade would come round, and if I need to go to the hospital, it's there.
Why a corporation, though? All right, Watford General Hospital.
Okay,
it's a trading name.
Yeah.
Of the Hertfordshire NHS Trust.
Right.
So it's a corporation. It has to make money. It has directors that need paying. You know about that, don't you? They're called dividends.
Well, I don't know that I do know that about that because I have no personal experience in Watford Hospital.
No, but you know...
I'm clever to say I've never been there, but...
But you know what I'm talking about, not about the hospital, but you know about the dividends, OK? You know this is what corporation is about. So why are public services in the whole of the United Kingdom, corporations and businesses, when they're meant to be paid for by public money, our money, your tax money, why are they independent corporations, all part of bigger conglomerate corporations? You've got Hertfordshire County...
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because you wouldn't expect them to be incorporated as businesses.
Why have you got corporate courts? Every court is registered as a trading name of the Ministry of Justice.
So it's just all about money.
Every police station, every police force is registered as a profit-making corporation.
OK.
The members of the Houses of Parliament are registered as a profit-making corporation, which means you are electing new directors. That's all you're electing, new directors. So nothing will ever change, because politics is theatre. It's complete theatre. What you see going on in the House of Parliament is theatre.
OK.
It's an outer government controlled by an inner. By the advocates.
Right.
The judiciary.
So I think what we need to talk about, I mean, we're going to go to a break in a couple of minutes. We've still got a couple of minutes to go, but what we need to talk about when we come back, I think, is we need to talk about how you avoid paying tax. That would be an interesting subject.
Easy.
Certainly
That's
one
easy.
of interest to me. And also about money.
Oh, money's interesting.
I think that's an... Let me read out a couple of texts. Somebody says here, if he was injured without wearing a seatbelt, the injuries would be considerably worse and more expensive for the taxpayer and the NHS. Responsible people, and that's how long you get. So don't go longer than that, because I don't know what you say. Presumably you're saying responsible people wear a seatbelt. Yeah. OK, there's another one.
Attack the messenger.
Yep, I got here. Was pulled for car tax. Police made my two kids, 7 and 9, sit in my car, engine running on the side of a dual carriageway while I was processed. Well, I guess that's a bit like what you were saying, but she wasn't in labour, was she? So I can't read that one. So, it's quite funny, though. Unfortunately, no name attached to it.
There'll be some choice ones come through.
So we do get one or two good ones. So, yeah, I mean, I think to go back to that point about the police working for corporations...
Yeah, the fiction does, yeah.
Do they understand that they're working for corporations?
I feel there's some that do, because of the wording you can use.
Well, the higher levels? Or...
Oh, yeah, definitely. The inspectors and the chief inspectors are what I call customer services. They come out... If a police officer's done something wrong and he's going to be... And you put a complaint in, especially one's called dereliction of duty, which is in common law.
Yes.
He'll come out and try to flannel you. He'll say, oh, it's no good prosecuting, you know, you've loads of paperwork and all they're going to get is a tap on the wrist. It's customer services.
Right, we're going to go for another break now. Once again, if you'd like to text in your questions or comments for John, text the word EDGE to 87778 and we'll see you very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest tonight, John James Harris, the free man. Well, John, this has been really interesting so far, and I'm going to read you a couple of texts before we start off again. Absolutely brilliant, bravo. Isn't it a shame this information doesn't get fed into the mainstream? John should go on Question Time. Ian from North Wales. I don't know if Jeremy Paxman would be as nice as I am, but... Anyway, here's another one. John, I'm a copper. You're spot on with your comments about police work. Good work. And here's another one. Where can I find out more info from the guy on the sofa? Things need to change. Well, the answer is go to www.tpuc, which stands for the People's United Collective.org. So www.tpuc.org. OK, keep the text coming in. Oh, there's another one. Why don't I read this one before we get onto the subject? Then they have books that can be audited, or am I just being duh? And by the way, I'm not being anti what you're saying. In fact, thank God for people like you. And then it gets cut off, I'm afraid, because the long ones do. So I think what they're asking in that question is these corporations, if they are corporations like the hospital and the police and the courts and all that, they're asking is, do they have books that can be audited?
Well, yeah, if they're a corporation in their own right, it's... You touch on subject, you know, and when you touch on these things, you look at the... You start to dig deep into money and what money really is. And the whole concept.
We're so going to get onto money in a second, but let's get into it gently.
But it explains it all because of the book entries. Because if they're creating a debt in the first place and giving it to you, you pay it, then that zeroes that debt. That's basic bookkeeping. Anybody knows that. You don't have to be an accountant. You know, you create it, someone pays it, it zeroes the account. But you pay in two different ways. There's different ways of paying, and there's something that came to light was what was called accepted for value, which a lot of people have dissed, and they say, oh, there's all this information in America, it don't work, blah, blah, blah. We're living proof it does work, because we do it. Now, accepted for value, you only do really on, you know, like sort of... companies and corporations.
Aren't you getting a bit ahead of yourself? Shouldn't you be explaining what money is before you get to it?
No, it leads to it. I'll explain what it is.
Excuse me then.
See, when you accept... Right, I get a bill from the tax office for 33 grand telling me that I've got to pay them £33,000.
This has actually happened.
I can show you it. That's in my briefcase.
I don't doubt you for a second, John.
I'll show you.
I'm surprised you walk around with it, though, but, you know...
No, I brought it
just in case.
There's something, yeah, when people... You need to explain things on there.
OK.
Now, they're writing to the capital version, they're writing to the fiction, so they're not writing to me as a human being.
They're writing to you in capital letters?
Yeah, so they're
John James Harris, all caps.
They're presuming I'm a fiction, OK? So it's presumption, it's implied presumption that I'm going to act on behalf of the fiction in their jurisdiction. Right, OK? I'm saying I'm a human being, and I'm not going to act. I'm not going to act on you. So I get this bill comes through, and they say to me, you owe us £33,000 and some pence and other pounds, whatever it is. Right. And it's in a box. I
think, yeah, the £33,000 would probably do it for me, wouldn't it?
Right.
Wouldn't worry about the pennies.
No. But, well, it's all imaginary anyway, so, you know, it might as well be 3 pence because they're not getting a penny. The fact of it is, the £33,000 is been generated for nothing. So when it comes to me, I've accepted it has no value whatsoever and sent it back to them. Exactly the same figure. So I write it in the box, 33, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. I send it back to them, they can zero out their books.
Well, OK, if only it was so simple, John.
But it is.
Well, you're basically saying you're accepting it for value.
Right. OK. A nice, shiny piece of paper.
Note.
No, piece of paper.
Well, I'm sorry, but that is a £20 note.
Well, that's what you... Yeah,
unless you make it yourself.
Now, you can take this to a shop and you can go and buy...
That's very kind of you. I'll have it now.
Do you want to? You can take this to a shop, you can buy goods and services for it, so you actually believe it's real.
Yes. I know it does buy me goods and services, or one very similar
you believe it's real. So, well, what happens is, you'll go... That will get put in that shop, and then that shop will pass it to somewhere else, or a bank, and they'll reissue it, blah, 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 blah. OK. Well, one of the two things that... There's 3 things on here that are quite interesting. One is it has a mascot on it to make it look official.
A mascot?
Constitutional sovereign.
Well, like football clubs?
Yeah, basically. I'll explain that.
OK.
And it says it's from the Bank of England, which is a private, registered corporation, that no one knows where the profits go. No one knows who the managing the directors of, but might want to ask the boss of Sky a little bit about the Bank of England. But it also says very clearly on it, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £20. OK? So if I take this to the Bank of England and say, right, you've promised me to pay me something here, can I have what you've promised? They'll give me another piece of paper, which is completely worthless.
You know, one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
But they'll take that one, presumably.
Yeah, but what we used to say on it, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of gold, or sterling, silver.
Silver.
Pound sterling, right? £20 sterling, as you would call it. But because our money is fiat currency, it's not backed by anything, there is nothing to back this at all. So in reality, if there's nothing to back this of any value, this is an IOU. It's a promise to pay. That's why it says, I promise. So what happens is, you just say, I'm promising to pay you at some time.
So this is because it's fiat currency,
yeah, because we're in bankruptcy.
And fiat, if my Latin is still doing any good in there, is, I think the Bible starts with fiat lux, which means let there be light.
I don't know, but I'll take your word on it.
Which is Latin.
Yeah,
and so therefore the fiat part of it must be let there be.
Yeah. All it basically
so let there be money.
All it basically
But there isn't any, is that what you're saying? There is no money.
Basically what the money is, the money in effect is a debt. We're in bankruptcy, so we're in receivership, but we're in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which still allows us to trade. What we're constantly trying to do is pay back this bankruptcy that can never be done, because the bankers, the private sector have put so much. The principal and the interest has got to such a rate now that the income tax that you pay, the rates that you pay, the council tax you pay, cannot cover this anymore. So now they have to bring in statutes to sell to the bankers and enforce upon the people.
More taxes, hidden taxes, all these hidden taxes.
Stealth taxes, but it's not. It's not tax. It's basically fraud.
You're saying the debt can never be serviced.
It can't
There's
be,
nothing to back the currency. The currency has nothing behind it. Because Gordon Brown, for instance, sold all our gold at the bottom of the market, didn't he?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, gold's, if you want to go, it depends how you want to go with this. You can go a number of different ways. You know, I mean, if you look at what gold is just a precious piece of metal. That's all it is. What gives it value?
Well, I suppose it's immutable, isn't it? Unlike some metals that rust or oxidise or whatever, gold is immutable. You can leave it in the ground for 10,000 years and you can pull it out and it's shiny and lovely.
So why does that give it any value?
I don't know, it's quite...
Exactly. It's got no value whatsoever. It's only got the value that you attribute to it. Okay. So it's if you like, the consumer who attributes the value to something. If you've got a bar of gold and you tell me it's worth £600 and I say it's worth £1, right? The only difference is that we disagree on what it's actually worth, because value is derived by the person.
Well, the word pound comes from the weight of a precious metal, doesn't it?
Which it would have been originally, yes, and the reason this stuff was designed was because obviously they couldn't carry this stuff around, so the bank could basically, I'll take your bank, I'll give you this piece of paper, and you can hand this to people, and if they ever come back, I'll give them the gold that's...
I promise to give them a pound of gold or a pound of...
You take this to... A friend of ours took one of these and a birth certificate down to the Bank of England, and she... And she went in and asked. They escorted her out of the building and then locked the doors behind her. She would then decided...
Sorry, I'm sorry. I was reading a text and I completely ignored what you said there. Say it again.
Right, a friend of mine went down to the Bank of England with a birth certificate and some money and just said... And actually tried. Actually tried it,
To do what?
To get what it's really worth. To find out what they would say.
Yes.
Well, two security guards escorted her...
Is this the woman with the dog? That's also on your web. I've read her story on the website.
So she goes in there, she gets escorted out, and the doors are locked behind her. She decides to stand on the street and tell everybody what's just been done. She gets descended on in by the corporate employees, and remember that the City of London Police are a completely separate entity. They have their own state, their own police force. You know, they've descended on her. She's put into Westminster Magistrates Court on a public disorder, which is a statute.
For going into the Bank of England and asking for her...
No, for standing on the street and telling people that you can't do this, because she's telling them the truth. She goes into court very cleverly, and I was admired her so much for this. She spoke to me and Richard the day before. She went into the court and just refused to get in the dock. She refused, point blank. She said, I'm not a criminal, I'm not going in the dock. I have papers, I'm representing myself, I need somewhere to sit, a glass of water, blah, blah, blah. Magistrate in the middle chucked her hands up, didn't know what to do. Clerk come across, case dismissed. All because she refused to get in the dock. Because they can't act upon you unless you're in that dock. Why is it called a dock?
It's maritime law.
Not very obvious, is it?
Let me just read you a couple of texts before they scroll off the screen. John for Prime Minister from Rose and Mart. Perhaps not a job you want. Is your guest one of David Icke's love children?
No, I don't think so.
Do I have to repay my bank loan? That's Will.
We get a lot of them.
John for Prime Minister again. She's very keen. All conspiracies are just greedy white men doing what they do best. Lie, cheat and steal from other greedy white men. Wake up.
That's an interesting one, I must admit, yeah.
No, it's just white men.
Yeah.
But
not everybody's designed to be woke up to this anyway, because it would cause absolute chaos if it...
What if everybody woke up to this? What if all the national newspapers tomorrow had
Complete
your story,
carnage.
this, the guts of this programme on the front page tomorrow?
Absolute carnage.
That the money is worth nothing, and that you can discharge a debt by simply giving them more. If that's a promissory note, which I understand that it is
a promissory note,
then all you do to pay a debt is give them another promissory note.
Absolutely.
So just go, yeah, I accept it. Here's my promissory note.
Yeah. Now but you're going down lines that are very, very complicated, and
it's not that simple.
No, because
I suspected that might be the case.
Because they've signed the system up. It's fantastic how they've done it. Actually, you shouldn't admire them for what they've done, but they have created something that is just. It is an amazing entity what they've created, but it's a fire. If you want to analogise it, you put a fire and it's a fire that's consuming everything. And unfortunately, when a fire consumes everything, the only thing it's got left to consume is itself. And that's what we're seeing happening. All
right, well, let's just talk about how you deal with debts like your £33,000, because you haven't really said, where does that go? I mean, you can ask them questions, you can accept it for value.
I was told to put them in court.
You asked them to put you in court? How long ago was this?
I've always had a thing about paying income tax.
Yeah, but this is a red rag to the bull. I mean, if they're watching this programme, the Inland Revenue...
They crack me up. They're brilliant to talk to.
Let me just say this. If they are watching this programme and you're going, I'm not going to pay my tax, and presumably you're a lesson to other people to not pay their tax, then...
But you've got to know why. You've got to know why not to pay it, and you've got to understand why I do what I do. And when you understand that, then people will say to me, "Oh, well, you're not going to get this service, you're not going to get that service, blah blah blah." None of them services are paid by income tax anyway, so I'm not bothered.
This guy Will is going, well, so do I? Do I have to repay my bank loan? You're very persistent, Will. John, sort him out, will you?
I'd speak to him on a personal level about that. So if he wants to contact me after, I'll teach him on a personal. It's not for broadcasting.
Really? Why not? Come on.
Because
our viewers are mature enough to...
No, there's certain things that you really need to understand before you can go down certain levels. Income tax really easy, because income tax, initially what you can use against income tax is the 1848 Felony of Treason Act, which is a statute that exists, but it's a very... When you look at that statute in retrospective, it actually says that you're not allowed to give aid or support to traitors of the Crown. Right, we're going to get onto this, aren't we, onto the Queen? Well, no, I don't really want to go too much there, but that was initially what I used, because what I did is I used that because, as far as I was concerned, Parliament were acting treasonously towards the Crown, being Her Majesty. So this was ideal. So I wrote to... I wouldn't, excuse me for saying this, but I wouldn't have put you down as a monarchist, a royalist. I don't see you buying Majesty magazine every month and pouring through pictures of the royal family. Yeah, but she's a lady. She's a woman. Does that mean a human being woman, or is that lady a special... No, no, that's what I mean. She's a lady, like the other ladies that are sat across from us. Are you talking about being respectful toward her? Absolutely, then? Full dignity. Yeah, full dignity completely, because she's a member of a female species, if you want to put it that way. Yes, well, gender, yes. If that's not a separate species, but no, don't go down them lines. Oh dear. No. So yeah, there isn't a great element of respect, and I know that my father cared for her greatly. You know, so...
Your father worked for the royal family, didn't he? He was a chauffeur, is it?
He was the Queen's unofficial chauffeur. So he'd do all the unofficial stuff. But he was actually
when she was going to secret locations or something?
absolutely not, no. He would take her from, like, Buckingham Palace to Windsor or stuff, places like that, you know. We're not... secret locations, you're full of it. You really are. Crack me up.
She wasn't going to go and meet those alien reptiles.
Do you know what? Yeah. No.
I'm sorry.
Some of the stuff, though, is incredible, isn't it? It absolutely mind-boggles me. I'm in fits of laughter with most of it I read. I am in absolute fits of laughter because I don't believe in mumbo-jumbo. I believe in black and white, right and wrong. That's it. So to me, magic doesn't exist, or all the other illusion. It's all part. It's another part of traps, actually.
All right, let's talk about the Queen a bit more then, because you've got on to the Queen. I think you need to kind of flesh it out a bit here. Your father worked for the Queen.
Yeah.
You never did, presumably.
I worked for the Bowes Lions.
You worked for the Bowes Lions, which is
Queen Mum's family.
Yeah.
So, and I know.
Have you met the Queen?
No.
Did you meet the Queen Mother?
I've been in a car.
Did she know?
No, probably not.
I thought not. No.
I went in a car when I was a kid. Yeah. No. My dad worked for... My dad was from Cornwall. He was a very softly spoken Cornishman. He was in the RAF during the war. And then when he left, he started work for Major Kindersley in St Paul's Walden in Hertfordshire.
OK.
Major Kindersley passed away, and there was a position for the chauffeur for Sir David and Lady Bowes Lions. So my dad took the position and got offered the position. Part of in doing that was doing the unofficial engagements for Her Majesty. So I know my dad had, you know, even though I could never ask him because he died when I was young, when I was 7, but I never had the chance to ask him. But I know in my heart, I know in my heart that he was a pure gentleman. My father was... Everyone you ever talk to, and you talk about John Harris, or Jack as they called him, and a lot of Cornish people get named. There's that many Johns down there, it's incredible. Especially Harris, it's the most prolific name in Cornwall. So if you talk, they would say he was just a gentleman, he was just a pure gentleman. And I know that he respected that, because he respected people, and he respected, you know, women as general. He was one of the old type who would open the door, allow a woman to get in the car, and then shut the door after. A lot of respect, old doors open, you know,
But you would have to do that if you were a chauffeur, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah, no, but he did it kind of like outside of the role of being a chauffeur. Okay, he was just genuine, you know, very genuine person. So I know that in my heart that he respects her a great deal. And I feel sorry for her family. It's one of the things a guest of yours recently said is, you know, the royal family's been seen, you know, at a Nazi funeral. Yeah? But it's a member of his family.
Well, I think that's Philip, isn't it?
Yeah, but why not? It's a member of his family, so why not?
Yeah.
Would you not go?
To a Nazi funeral? Probably not, I think.
No, listen to... Well, no, but to put it in another context,
Unless they
listen to what I'm saying. If you want to mar something, if you want to really, really smash something to pieces, then what you use is every concept you can. So you take stuff. You look at the... I've got a relative and he's in the Nazis, yeah, OK, whatever. He dies. I want to go to his funeral. What's wrong with that? He's part of my family. Doesn't matter. He's still part of my family, no matter what he's turned out to be.
Well, that's understandable.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is that's the clever. This is what they use against people. This is why the lies and the knowledge goes out on the internet.
I think we need to get back to the Queen here, don't we?
Yeah, I will get it. Takes me a while. But the thing is, the Queen is... I don't know if she's been duped. I don't know if she's complacent. I know in my heart that she's a good person. I know that Brian says exactly the same, Brian Gerrich, because he was a lieutenant commander in the Navy. And
I don't think we can talk about what he thinks, really, without him being here.
No, but his point was very, very, very apt, what he made. And his point was that he was at there was a party held, and the Queen attended with a lot of top-ranking Navy officials, and Brian asked her a question: is this an official engagement that you like doing it, or is it an official engagement that you've just got to do because of your position? And she said, no, the difference is with tonight, I'm with friends. And it was like Brian said, I just got a really good feeling from her. And that's very important to me, because the word friends, I mean, she was with friends, so does it mean that... You know,
I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about how the Queen feels about things, but she's never been very... she's never expressed her emotions very openly, has she?
She can't express her emotions.
Diana certainly did, didn't she?
Yeah, she was interesting.
you know. But anyway, we don't even want to talk about Diana because that's a whole other subject. So the Queen, now, I think we need to get to you. Now, you declared yourself a freeman of England within common law.
Yeah.
And in your method of becoming a free man, which is therefore a human being, not a...
Fiction.
A person.
Yeah.
Square brackets, capital letters.
Yeah.
You invoked something to do with the Queen. I mean, I've got a copy of your freeman of common law thing. I don't want to read it all because we go mad.
No, it's quite long.
But you talk about the Queen, and you say that you deny and withhold all allegiance and obedience to Elizabeth the Queen to the precise purpose of providing some defence to Her Majesty's person, royal estate, blah, 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 blah. What's all that about?
What it was initially is like I said, you know, I haven't said it on camera, I'll say it now. When the website started, I was totally in the dark about everything that was going on worldwide. And through a process of people just contacting me and giving me information, I started to see patterns, history repeating itself, different bits and pieces that and it brought me along different lines. And I was talking to a gentleman one night, and he said about Article 61. I talked to another gentleman, he mentioned Article 61, and I talked to another gentleman.
That's the one in the Magna Carta.
These are constitutional... People know the Constitution back to front, or as they perceive the Constitution to be.
Mm-hmm.
They also historians as well, so they know a lot about the sort of history of the kings and queens, the descendants, you know, all the different bits and pieces. And I looked at Article 61, so I spoke to him, and a friend of mine, Robin, wrote them affidavits on my behalf.
Was he a lawyer or somebody you used
No, but he knows common law.
Okay.
That's a common law document. It's an affidavit. It's a sworn statement of truth. We looked at Article 61 because you had to give 40 days. We knew it resided within common law. It's a very powerful article indeed. People argued you needed barons, but yeah, at the end of the day, all I wanted to let Her Majesty know and the government know, I'm just fed up with what's going on with the country. The country doesn't work anymore. You're destroying it. As far as I'm concerned, you're the culprits. I'm opting out. So when I opt out of the system, then, you know, I'm basically saying I'm not going to pay income tax because of the traitors in Parliament, the 1848 Felony Treason Act. I'm not going to do anything at all. I didn't understand anything about contracts and contract law, commerce or fleet or any of that. So that was the avenue then to start something off. That's the only way I could see.
So what I don't understand then, and I understand why you might want to become a free man and not any longer be this person, capital letters, that was a fiction. I can understand why.
But I didn't know. I didn't know that at the time.
But no, I can understand all this. I think, you know, that's understandable. But I don't understand why you have to mention the Queen in this and withhold allegiance to her. This is kind of weird to me. It's like,
it's not.
Say the Queen's great. She's being held hostage by Parliament. Kind of saying that in here.
But it's kind of what's happened if you understand what they've done with the law.
But why do you care about her? Why would you put that in your thing about being a free man? Why can't you just go, I want to be a free man? You know, the money doesn't exist. The Parliament is corrupt and illegal.
The reason
Magna Carta is being disobeyed, if you like.
Yeah.
So why this stuff about the Queen? It's like I look at it and go, this is kind of weird, isn't it? It's
not weird. It's an ancient law. It's an ancient law that says that we have a right. At the time, I believed in the law as constitutional law as being our constitution.
So you're saying it has to be about the Queen, then? Your act of becoming a free man...
Not now, no. What I was trying to explain to you, this is evolution. What's happened to me is I've evolved with the information I've received from people, so I've taken a lot of information over a lot of time. At every point, at every stepping stone, there's been some form of recourse. Article 61 at that time was recourse, but that led us into something because Article 61 says, enter into lawful rebellion offering no violence whatsoever. So you do it peacefully.
So you don't have to... You wouldn't mention the Queen now, then, if you did it now?
What? No, I'm afraid...
John, I'm afraid we're going to have to go for another break. So, once again, if you'd like to text in your questions or comments to John Harris, do so now. Text the word EDGE, your message to 87778. See you very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest, John Harris. John, We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we, tonight? We have covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
So, you're a free man now.
Yeah, but
you've made
right.
you made this declaration. Who did you send it to?
The Queen.
You sent it to the Queen,
Yeah.
and did she acknowledge it?
Well, I got a third-party reply from Sonia Bonici, which is like the chief correspondent, which everybody gets anyway.
Which says, thank you for writing to the Queen. If you'd like a colouring set or...
Yeah, it just said, oh, thank you for your letter concerning blah, blah. It was about the EU, and Brian Gerrish made a phone call and asked Sonia Bonici what she meant by the word the EU, because I never mentioned the EU in...
You didn't write about the EU at all?
No, absolutely not. But we now know that she presumed, when I was talking to the EU, from the phone call, she presumed it was because I was talking about the traitors in Parliament. And there's a lot of references all over the place about the EU and the traitors in Parliament.
Because a lot of people think that we're selling ourselves to the...
Yeah, but you need to know the EU doesn't exist. It has no legal personality whatsoever. It doesn't exist. People say it hasn't had its accounts signed off for 14 years, but if it doesn't legally exist, what accounts are we talking about?
It's not a corporation, then?
It's not. It's not.
It's not. We found one that isn't a corporation.
No. It's just a way of trapping Europe. It's just...
It's a what trap?
Just a way of trapping Europe. They couldn't get it with the Commonwealth. They got it with, something else. Well, I don't want to go down them lines because you're entering into a whole different realm.
Let's talk a bit more about your becoming a free man. I think that's important because I think there are probably people out there. I know, look, I've just... Can you repeat his website? This one says he's great. So, yes, it's www.tpuc.org. Royals have no divine right to be royals. It's a title afforded to them by those who dream it fit. Royal blood doesn't exist. Fiction. Paul in Warrington.
Divine right was from the Stuart Kings, which was derived from... it basically came out of the Papal Bull Templar, who were actually the ones who created...
Templars, the Knights Templar.
Yeah, the Papal Bull Templar basically created Temple Bar, which is the advocates, the inner and outer temple.
Oh, where the courts are?
Yeah, in this country...
The barristers.
Yeah, basically what you've got is you two-tier everything. You've got a two-tier community, which is the socially dominant, and us, who are fooled by a promise to do the hard work. The only valuable thing in this country is what we do for a living, every single day. Because if we didn't do what we do, this country stops working. And the hierarchy can't afford for that to happen. So they have to fool us into giving us a promise. We'll promise to pay you at some time. So, but it doesn't exist. There's a lot of other things that you can go along in them lines. I don't want to... We haven't got enough time to talk about it. And they are quite complicated, some of them as well. But we've got two-tier everything. Two-tier law, we've got a two-tier community, which is basically one world society, which is what is being created. The socially dominant want to maintain their social dominance. That's basically it. It's not... People say New World Order, blah, blah, blah. It's the socially dominant. They've got everything.
Well, social... the word social, to me, sounds a bit kind of soft and cuddly. You know, you say socially dominant. I mean, this is... You're talking about society, aren't you?
Yeah, but that's the socially dominant members of a community. They're the ones who will do anything to maintain their social dominance. So they're not quite as cuddling as you would like to imagine.
Well, no, I don't particularly imagine that those people who do control the Federal Bank and the Bank of England, indeed they do.
They are the socially dominant. And in a way, everybody... The whole system's been tiered down. So anyone... We talked about this. Anyone who owns a company, who employs people, who pays them a promise at the end of the week...
With fiat currency, which is just nothing.
What are you maintaining? Your social dominance. It's the truth, though. You're enslaving people.
I'm enslaving people.
Yeah. You're doing exactly the same, but see, because we mimic what's given to us. Everybody mimics the same thing. And hopefully, half the people hear this information, they'll start to realise that, yeah, this really is what's going. And then what you do is you take the very simple system that human beings live by, which is in communities, and you put ism on the end of it, and you completely destroy that as well, which is what they did. Everything with an ism. Socialism, capitalism, communism, Marxism, socialism. They're all isms.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
It cracks me up. All of it cracks me up because it's just, when you understand what's going on and how simple it is, everything that's complicated in the world has a simple foundation. We have a motto on the site: the truth is simple, mankind makes it complicated. And it is absolutely true because it doesn't matter.
That is true, yes.
Yeah, if you take the most complex building, it's still built on a set of foundations. There's nothing...
Except the World Trade Centres, clearly. It's a circular argument, isn't it? Let's read out a text. Dave Ellison has written, in 1989, the 1989 Children Act overruled common law which states the father owns them. Can they do this? Dave Ellison?
No.
They can't overwrite common law?
They cannot overwrite. See, common law, I know Dave as well, common law is everything comes from natural law, common law, the three basic principles. Nothing can overwrite it on a human being. But then when you enter into the world of commerce, which is Admiralty and Fleet, when you enter into that world, then you're then dealing with fictions. Remember, the children of fictions. They're dealing. The social.
Well, they're capital letter names.
No. I'll give you an example.
Fictions, if you like. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. I'll give you an example.
But they're human beings, aren't they?
Right. Everyone in the audience, go and get your V5 document for your car and look at what it says. It says a registration certificate of the registered keeper.
Yeah, it is the registered keeper, I know that, yes.
Now, how could they possibly take something that is lawfully yours, i.e. the car, and crush it if you don't put tax on it?
Well, hold on a second. They don't... the reason it's keeper is because it might not be yours. It might actually belong to a finance company, for instance, or it might be a company car, and you're the registered keeper.
No. If
your issue is with the word keeper...
That's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough, a company car.
Yeah.
But the finance part of it, it's still registered to the DVLA. The DVLA need to know who owns that car, because the registration, that's why they'll take the car and crush it.
Now, well, they don't do that very often, do they?
They do take quite... Why take them off the side of the street and take them down a compound and charge you extortionate costs for keeping a car because you might have parked somewhere they deemed that you can't park. You haven't broken no common law, you've not committed a crime. There's
no loss, harm or injury.
So they've stolen your property. In common law, they've stolen your property. They've caused you a loss. You've lost your vehicle. Now, take that concept one step further. If you're only the registered keeper, that means that you signed over the ownership, the possession of that vehicle to the government.
But when you signed that...
Yeah, because apply...
V5.
No, apply, you submit a registration of application. Submission is to bend to someone else's will. Yeah? You register, when you register something, you hand over possession of it, and when you apply, you're begging, and it's implied that you know what you're begging for. Look the words up yourself. Look it up for yourself. Now, this is why the social services can take children, because the fiction's theirs.
You've signed them over when you sign their birth certificate.
Absolutely, it's the same principle, and it works with houses, it works with cars, it works with children. Anything you register, you have given away possession of it.
OK, well, here's a really good question. Jamie from Norfolk. How can we free ourselves from the stranglehold of central bankers and the current debt-based economy when they own all the mass media weapons?
Well, we've got the internet. It's the most powerful entity in the world and it can't be stopped.
Well, I don't know. They're trying, aren't they?
They can't stop it. It's a living entity in its own. They'll tell you that there's one pipe comes in and it goes to one building in London and they can shut the whole of the internet down. Talk to anybody who understands the internet. That comes in so many different ways, they physically couldn't shut it down. Another thing is they need it more than we do.
Well, another thing is Edge Media TV, Channel 200. Keep watching.
Nice plug. But no, so the internet is mimicking the way that human beings should really communicate. Everything we've got to communicate with nowadays, we think we're so connected as a race, but actually we're more disconnected than we could possibly imagine.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because we've been conditioned. They use dumbing down techniques on us. Look at mainstream media television. I don't want to go into the realms of it, but they call it programming for certain reasons. Watch people go into a trance when they're watching it. Just watch it. Talk to someone. Offer them a cup of tea. Do you want a cup of tea? Huh? What did you say? This happens.
Is that the Strictly Come Dancing effect, is it?
Possibly, yeah. I wouldn't want to watch it.
No,
quite honestly, no, it's not.
I managed to miss it somehow.
No, I don't watch any real television. I've watched one of your shows.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
What about the other ones? What was wrong with them?
Well, you don't watch TV. You don't watch it. I watch it on the computer, so anyway.
You can watch it online. www.edgemediatv.com. Watch online. You can watch it live, or you can watch programmes that have gone out in the past.
So basically, anything you register is not yours anymore, and that's where the fiction. This is where the commerce comes in. But see, under common law, no law can be created in this country and be applied to common law unless it reinstates or reinforces common law. So if anything to the contrary of that, anything that goes completely against the common law principle, cannot be reinforced in common law. And common law is created by declaration, which a declaration is by the people or by a monarch can do it. The 1351 Treason Act, although it's a statute, originally it was declared by a king, so...
Whatever.
You got 1351. I don't know, but anyway, but there's an argument whether that could be common law or not, because it's a declaration and it was made into a statute. But a declaration, generally, it is a declaration by the people, becomes part of common law.
Can you make a declaration?
Absolutely. I did one with my affidavits. That's a declaration.
But it doesn't pass into common law, does it? It's simply...
Yeah.
It's about you,
no,
though,
no. It passes
you couldn't
into
pass common law.
Listen,
you couldn't make a declaration about me, for instance, could you?
Oh, no, only about yourself. You make a declaration about yourself. That's what an affidavit is. It's a sworn statement of truth from you.
All right, well, let's talk a bit more about this affidavit that you did, this declaration.
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to expand on one point, though,
okay,
if you don't mind,
no,
because all the affidavit achieved in the end, now we know, was to allow Her Majesty, the Royal Household and the Foreign Commonwealth Office, where they ultimately end up, lets them know how many people have done this and why. They're fed up, OK? They know the country doesn't work.
How many have done it?
Well, we don't know, because I don't want to ask anybody. That was what it did. What I come to the determination of was this, and this is very simple. Under contract law, a birth certificate was done on your behalf, but it's a contract at the end of the day.
But it's not made with my cooperation, is it?
Absolutely.
Because at the age of whatever,
Absolutely.
a few days...
So that being the preamble document to create the fiction, that means that every document off of that is null and void. It's illegal, it's void. So in commerce law, it doesn't exist.
So when you get your national insurance number...
It's all farce. It's all farce. But I suddenly come to the determination as this. I was born free.
As free as the wind blows.
Absolutely. I was born free. My freedom does not come from a man. It does not come from a woman. I was born free. And no one has the right to take that away from me. And I'm free because I say I am, and not because the government give me a piece of paper.
So having said it and done it in a certain way, you are a free man now.
Yeah, but I'm free because I say I am.
OK, but what does that mean now? Tell me what it means.
It means to me that...
Sorry, can I just backtrack you there? You just said, I'm free because I say I am, but you did something. You can't just say, I'm free, can you?
Yes, of course I can.
Well, yeah, but you didn't just say you're free. You did this. You made this declaration.
But at that time, that's what the stage on the path that I'm walking, that's where I got to. And I believe that to be the right thing at that time. There's other times, if you want to go trawl the website and look at it, you'll see I was talking to people about political parties. I was talking to people about other things. But I had to talk about them subjects to be able to get other information to come to me to understand what them subjects really are. That's why I needed to... You need to go into something to understand it. It's like... How many people say, I know how you're feeling? But it's like, if you're an alcoholic and you get counselled, generally the person counselling you is an ex-alcoholic, because they're the only people who really understand what you're going through. And how many times do we say to people, oh, I know how you're feeling? But if you've never lived that experience, how could you possibly know? You couldn't.
OK.
You know, so if I say I'm free, I'm free. And I don't want their system in any shape, form or fashion. I can't wait.
But you are part of society, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely not.
Well, you walk down roads that have been paved by taxpayers.
Oh, this is great, yeah. Oh, it's been paved by taxpayers, not corporations.
Well, somebody's paved them.
Not corporations.
Well, they may well be corporations. What I'm asking you is, how do you reconcile being free with being a recipient of some of the benefits of the society?
Name the benefits that I get.
Well, if your house burns down, for instance, the fire brigade will come out.
I haven't got a house.
Well, you have somewhere you live, don't you?
I stay in places.
OK, well, if the place you're staying in tonight...
Yeah, but it's not mine, so why does it affect me? The person
well,
in
it would
the house...
do. OK, well, your possessions...
The person in the house, the fictional person, can call the fictitious fire brigade to come and put it out.
But it's not a fictitious fire, is it?
But they can call it... They can... See, that's the point. I don't use doctors nor hospitals. I don't use anything.
But that's perhaps because you're fortunate enough to be healthy. But what if you become unhealthy? What if you need...
If I become unhealthy, I become unhealthy for a reason.
What is this? This is like sort of predetermination or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. What happens to me happens because it's meant to happen. If I was meant to have crashed without wearing a seatbelt and gone for a windscreen, then that would have happened, and me putting one on wouldn't have stopped that.
But it's a bit kind of submissive, and you're not that submissive, are you?
No,
Because
but I'm not submissive. I'm in partnership.
Yeah,
That's a whole
if you're saying that whatever happens, happens, karma, you know, and all that is the will of God, if you like, then you wouldn't have made this declaration to become something different. You know, you're saying that you were sold into slavery inadvertently by your father, registering you at birth, and then subsequently with other things that happened in your life, and that's all karma and fate. You were meant to be a slave.
Absolutely.
But now you're not a slave.
But I needed to be a slave to understand what slavery is.
But you need to go through a windscreen to understand what wearing a seatbelt is.
If that's a lesson that's going to be taught to me, yes.
OK, so you learnt the lesson of slavery.
See, it's all about choice. You're given choice, aren't you? Every single day you can make a decision for yourself. You don't need someone to make it for you. The problem is we're allowing people to make them decisions. In
terms of what? Paying tax and...
Well, everything. Everything that you do is your own choice. The natural law that we live by, or we should live by, is inherent. It's in us. We don't have to be told it. Just because we choose to ignore it does not give someone the right to say to us, you have to abide by this.
But even if people know what's right and wrong, and I think probably most people do know what's right and wrong.
Of course they do.
But even if they do know what's right and wrong, it doesn't mean they're going to comply with right and wrong, does it?
No, but what actually funds that? What is the power behind it? Why do people do things wrong generally? For what?
Well, for advantage.
And where does advantage come from?
I don't know. Where does it come
Greed.
from? Greed, OK.
And what does money? What is money?
Well, money's a tool, isn't it? Money's just a wherewithal. Money's not a measure of your worth,
Money is a tool of...
you're going to say what? Greed?
Greed. What's materialism?
But hold on, no, you can't say that money's... It's like this woman who was hung for stealing a piece of cloth.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of stealing money. She wasn't greedy, she was desperate.
She was stealing something that didn't exist.
Well, no, a piece of cloth existed, didn't she?
But she wasn't...
But she could have stolen the money to buy the bit of cloth to dress her baby. But that wasn't greed. So not everybody who's involved with money, which is a tool, is greedy. You know, people who want more money than they could possibly spend...
No, but everybody is. Everybody monopolises. Everybody. It's natural. It's greed. This is a system we live in.
Well, it's about security for a lot of people. People think...
Security from what?
What if I get sick? I'll need money. What if I do this? I need money. What if, you know, I need money? People don't necessarily have money, surely, for the sake of just having money. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are in that position.
Yeah, but if you're living in a world that revolves on the stuff.
Well, yes, that's
and it's
certainly
fictional.
True. Well,
so you're living in a fictional world. You think all this is it's an illusion, and you just can't even see it.
Well,
the illusion is because you run a company, you have employees. You need your employees to do the work they do, so this show is broadcasted. But to make them do that work that they do, you need to give them to promise to give them something at the end of the week. What they don't realise is they're absolutely getting nothing. They're getting a promise to pay at some time that will never be made.
But if you have a £20 note in your pocket, as you do...
Yeah.
You have it in your pocket so that you can get home or you can buy food or you can...
yeah.
And you know that it's worth having, because otherwise you would have left it on the table there where you were showing it to me.
I'll quite happily give you it.
I don't want your £20, but you want to retain it for the things you can buy with it, don't you?
Yeah, and that's what it gives you the belief it's real.
Well, in a sense, it is real.
No, it's not
might
real.
be completely.
How can it possibly be real?
It might be a promissory note based on wishful thinking, and it might be some big, colourful con like the Wizard of Oz behind his curtain. And I'm happy to entertain that idea, and I think probably most people watching this programme are happy to entertain that idea. But nevertheless, a £20 note is a £20 note, and you can go and spend it, and you can get food or lodging or...
That's the illusion you live in.
But you can't survive without money, can you?
I do survive pretty much without money. Yeah, it's hard. It's very, very difficult. But I've made a commitment to what I do, and I always said that I would do everything that I possibly can to stop what's going on. I will stop what's going on in some way or fashion. I don't know how it's going to come about. It's coming about soon as well. Things are going to change.
Do you think we're on some kind of cusp moment where...
I don't really want to give sort of any reason. I just feel that there is something emanating at this moment. There is an energy building up that is just phenomenal at this moment, and a lot of people are feeling it. A lot of people, you know, people say, well, I wouldn't like to live in a happy world and there's not this and there's not that, but you mean, because you'd be bored. can you name a time in your life where you've actually been truly happy and you've actually boredom's ever entered into you know? It's not something that they don't run together. Things are changing, and they're changing naturally, and they have to be allowed to change naturally.
OK.
There's a very simple thing that's going on that people will not grasp, and it goes into sort of like, I don't know, concepts that people are not ready to accept. But man's control of the earth is being relinquished.
Let me ask you some questions that have come in here. Do you think the current recession has been orchestrated? And if so, by whom and for what? That's Lydia in Cornwall.
Right. The current recession is... people say it's being orchestrated. It's just something that fractional reserve banking will end up doing. It cannot go on. If they set about now, to the end of their lifetimes, they could never create enough paper money to warrant what they say exists. They could never do it. And the more you create... If you create another £20, that makes that £20 worthless. And that's worthless.
Well, that's the hidden tax, isn't it? Inflation.
Worth.
Inflation is the hidden tax.
Exactly, but it's all based on something that doesn't exist in the first place.
OK, here's another good question. Can you consider being free and being tagged at the same time, starting with the identity card? That's Vincent from Belfast.
I don't really understand that question, but how can you possibly be free if you're tagged with an identity card?
So you would refuse the...
Absolutely, point blank.
OK.
And they would try and enforce that with a statute that I wouldn't consent to.
OK.
They can't bring that in through common law.
No, of course not.
So they've got to use a statute. I won't consent to it. So take your card and do whatever you want to do.
Here's another one. This is from Jamie NFLK. Don't know what that means. Oh, Norfolk. Yes, internet allows truth to be shared, but why are the masses not revolting? Why are so many still so ignorant? What needs to happen to reach the masses?
You don't need to reach the masses. There's enough people who already know what they've got to do when they've got to do it. You mean there's a critical mass? No, you don't even need a critical mass. You just need individuals, every walk of life, judges, magistrates, the MPs, people in government, civil servants, they all know that there's something very wrong. They all know there's something very wrong, but they're caught up in this materialistic world. Biggest thing is status. Status. Why do you sit on a chair that's higher than me?
I didn't design the set.
Exactly the same as a judge in a courtroom. He's higher than you. It's intimidation.
Do you think I'm here to intimidate you?
No, not at all. But that's society showing its true colours. That's the persona. I am this person. I will sit higher than you.
Can I sit over here? I'll sit there.
No, seriously. No, but I'm just giving an example of society. This is how status works. Statute comes from the word status. It's the legal position of a person or a thing.
OK.
This is what... It's all about it. What we live in is a society that is just solely dominated by socially dominant people who want to maintain that. They've created an illusional fiction called money to keep us doing what we do every day. The only valuable thing in this country are the people and the work they do. That's all that's valuable.
John, we've got about less than a minute left. So what do you want to say? What do you want to say? It's all coming to some kind of head?
I'll say one thing, and all I'll say is this, is if England was a car, who would be its engine?
Come on, you must say more than that.
No.
If England was a car, who would be its engine?
Who would be its engine?
The people.
And what happens if the engine stops?
The people are the engine?
Absolutely.
The power is with the people?
Absolutely, it always has been, and it always will be. We've just been fooled, that's all. We've been duped.
Final word.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much to everyone for watching our special 2-hour show, and to those who sent text in, and thanks to my special guest, John James Harris. If Mandy would like to phone me offline, I'll answer her question. If you've enjoyed the show, please tell all your friends. Please look out for our exciting new set and opening title sequence in the new year. Until then, happy Christmas, and remember, they're watching you, watching us, watching them. Cheerio.